Gianni is a wealthy businessman who is about to turn 50. Even at his age, he is known as a charming playboy who easily attracts women with his confidence, expensive lifestyle, and carefully maintained appearance. He spends hours exercising, visiting the gym, and taking care of himself because he wants to appear younger. Whenever he meets a woman, he creates a new identity and tells different lies just to impress her. Although many women fall for him, Gianni never takes relationships seriously and avoids marriage because he values his freedom above everything else. One day, while having lunch with his close friend and doctor, Dante is once again advised to stop playing games with women and settle down. Before their conversation can continue, Gianni receives heartbreaking news that his mother has passed away. He returns to his hometown for the funeral, where his brother gives him the keys to their mother's house and tells him that their mother wanted him to visit the house one final time before it is sold. While going through old belongings at the house, Gianni discovers a cassette containing one of his mother's favorite songs. As he listens to it, he notices a beautiful young woman named Alicia standing nearby. Alicia has recently moved into the neighborhood and asks for help with some heavy boxes. Before Gianni can stand up, Alicia mistakenly assumes that he is disabled because he is sitting in a wheelchair. She explains that she works as a caregiver and even offers to look after him if he ever needs assistance. Seeing an opportunity, Gianni decides to continue the misunderstanding. The following day, he returns to town using a wheelchair and invites Alicia for coffee. During their conversation, Alicia becomes interested in him and later invites him to a family barbecue. On Sunday, Gianni arrives at the gathering, hiding his expensive sports car far away, so nobody discovers the truth. However, he soon realizes that Alicia invited him for a completely different reason. Alicia has an older sister named Chiara, who genuinely uses a wheelchair, and she hopes that Gianni and Chiara might become a couple. At first, Gianni has no interest in Chiara, but after spending time with her, he is surprised. Chiara is confident, independent, funny, and incredibly talented. She plays wheelchair tennis professionally and performs music concerts around the world. Gianni gradually develops great respect for her. Later, Gianni's friends challenge him to seduce Chiara, while continuing to pretend that he is disabled. Although Dante strongly warns him not to hurt an innocent woman, Gianni eventually accepts the challenge. As time passes, Gianni and Chiara begin spending more time together. Chiara visits him at his office, invites him to watch her tennis matches, and introduces him to her friends. Throughout these moments, Gianni repeatedly tries to confess the truth, but every time he loses his courage, especially when Chiara encourages him to never feel ashamed of his disability. Gianni eventually attends one of Chiara's music performances. After the concert, they spend the evening together, share meaningful conversations, and eventually experience their first romantic kiss. For the first time in his life, Gianni realizes that Chiara is completely different from any woman he has ever known. Their relationship grows stronger, and during a romantic dinner at Gianni's home, Chiara shares the painful story of how a car accident changed her life forever. Moved by her honesty, Gianni begins developing genuine feelings for her. Eventually, the two become physically intimate, and Chiara falls deeply in love with him. Unfortunately, Gianni still cannot let go of his old habits. In order to prove to his friends that he has won the challenge, he secretly takes a photograph with Chiara and suddenly starts ignoring her calls. However, when he tries returning to his former lifestyle, he realizes that he cannot stop thinking about her. For the first time, he feels guilty. Wanting to confess, Gianni repeatedly meets Chiara, intending to tell her the truth, but fear always stops him. Matters become even worse when Chiara mentions that she could never forgive someone who lies to her. Eventually, Chiara asks to meet Gianni's friends. During a dinner with Dante and Gianni's assistant Luciana, Dante almost reveals everything, but Gianni manages to stop him at the last moment. Meanwhile, Gianni's brother tells Alicia about the deception. Furious, Alicia confronts Gianni, slaps him, and gives him 48 hours to confess everything to Chiara, threatening to expose him if he refuses. Confused and desperate, Gianni visits his father for advice. Surprisingly, even his father tells him to tell Chiara the truth. During their conversation, Gianni finally admits that he has truly fallen in love with her and cannot bear the thought of losing her. Desperate to save the relationship, Gianni plans to visit a famous religious site with Chiara and pretend that he has miraculously regained the ability to walk. However, when they arrive, a priest immediately recognizes that Gianni is lying and advises him not to exploit people's faith. On their way back, the group stops at a roadside cafe to rest and grab something to eat. While the others chat and enjoy refreshments, Gianni sits alone, completely lost in his thoughts. The guilt of lying to Chiara for so long is slowly eating him from the inside. He realizes that the woman he truly loves may soon leave him forever, and for the first time in his life, he feels genuinely afraid. At the same time, Chiara quietly makes her way back toward the bus. Although she has known for quite some time that Gianni was pretending to be disabled, she had chosen to ignore the truth because the happiness he brought into her life meant so much to her. However, now that everything is falling apart, she cannot stop thinking about the inevitable heartbreak waiting for her. Overwhelmed by emotions and distracted by her thoughts, she accidentally moves into the path of a speeding truck. Seeing the danger, Gianni reacts instantly. Without caring about the consequences or thinking about his secret, he jumps out of his wheelchair and sprints toward Chiara. At the very last second, he grabs her wheelchair and pulls her away from the speeding vehicle, saving her life. Everyone standing nearby witnesses the shocking moment. The truth that Gianni had hidden for months is finally exposed. Although Chiara had suspected for a long time that Gianni was not truly disabled, seeing him stand and run with her own eyes still breaks her heart. In that painful moment, she realizes that the man she loved had built their entire relationship on a lie. Tears fill her eyes, but instead of creating a scene, she quietly turns away and walks back toward the bus. Gianni desperately wants to explain himself, but shame and regret leave him speechless. After Chiara leaves, Gianni's world completely falls apart. The expensive cars, luxurious mansion, and constant attention from women no longer bring him any happiness. Even his closest friends begin distancing themselves from him after learning about his behavior. Soon, Gianni finds himself completely alone, surrounded by wealth but emotionally empty. For the first time, he starts reflecting on the person he has become. Determined to change, Gianni begins treating people with kindness and respect. He becomes a better boss, sincerely thanks Luciana for supporting him throughout the years, and starts sponsoring sporting events for disabled athletes. He even rehires employees he had previously treated unfairly. Slowly, Gianni transforms into a far better person than he once was. Despite all these changes, he still cannot forget Chiara. No matter how hard he tries to move on, memories of her laughter, strength, and kindness remain in his heart. Eventually, unable to live with his regrets any longer, Gianni gathers the courage to apologize. One day, he spots Chiara traveling with her music group and stops the tour bus to speak with her. Standing in front of everyone, he sincerely admits his mistakes, confesses his love, and begs for another chance. Although Chiara initially rejects him and insists that she does not need someone like him in her life, it is obvious that she still loves him deeply. Some time later, while Gianni is jogging alone, emotionally exhausted, and struggling to move forward, he eventually collapses from exhaustion. As he catches his breath, a wheelchair suddenly appears beside him. Looking up, he is surprised to see Chiara, smiling warmly at him. She casually starts a conversation and repeats a line that Gianni had once said to her, making it clear that she has finally forgiven him. The movie ends on a heartwarming note, showing Gianni and Chiara happily celebrating their first wedding anniversary with family and friends. Surrounded by the people they love, the couple shares a romantic dance, proving that true love can inspire even the most flawed person to change for the better.